Okay, guys, we're going to try something new. During your asynchronous reading time, I'm going to read aloud to you, and I'm going to take pauses while I'm reading so that you guys can answer some of the comprehension questions below me. Before I start reading, I want you all to take a moment to look at question 1. What is the main problem of the story? We've been talking about all the major events so far, and I think it's pretty clear what the main problem in the story so far is. So pause this video, take a moment, answer that question, and then come back and I'll read. So pause the video. Okay, so chapter 3. I don't sleep more than a couple hours that night. When I do, I dream of Shiloh. When I don't, I'm thinking about him out in the rain all afternoon, head on his paws, watching our door, thinking how I disappointed him, whistling like I meant something the first time, getting him to come to me, then taking him on back to Judd Travers to be kicked all over again. That's right, we saw Judd kicking him last time, right? By 5 o'clock, when it's growing light, I know pretty much what I have to do. I have to buy that dog from Judd Travers. I don't let my mind go any further. Don't dwell on what Judd would want for Shiloh or even whether he'd sell. Especially don't ask myself how I'm supposed to get the money. All I know is that I can think of only one way to get that dog away from Judd. And that's what I'm going to have to do. Okay, I'll pause right there. We just read a little bit about the problem, and now we have an idea of what Marty's solution might be. I'm going to read it again. Ready? He said, I know pretty much what I have to do. I have to buy that dog from Judd Travers. So I want you all to pause the video, go to question 2, and I want you to say, what is Marty's solution? What solution did Marty come up with? So pause the video and go do that now and then come back. All right, great. My bed, right here, my bed is in the couch in the living room. So when Dad comes in to fix his breakfast, I pull on my jeans and go out to sit across from him in the kitchen. First, he makes himself a lunch to carry to work. He drives his Jeep to the post office in Sisterville, where he cases mail for around 200 families and delivers it. Then comes back to the friendly post office, where he cases mail for 200 more. Delivers that too. Route takes him about 85 miles on roads you can hardly get by on winter. Morning, he says to me, as he stuffs a sandwich in his sack, then starts in on his breakfast, which is wheat checks and any fruit he can get from our peach tree. He makes himself coffee and eats the cornbread or biscuits Ma saves for him from our meal the night before. Can you think of any way I could earn myself some money? I ask him, with this froggy kind of voice that shows you aren't woke up yet. Dad takes a bite of cornbread, looks at me, then goes off studying his cereal. Says exactly what I figure he'd say. Collect some bottles. Take them in for deposit. Pick up some aluminum cans, maybe, for the recycling place. I mean real money. Gotta have it faster than that. How fast? I try to think. Wish I could earn it in a week, but no, I can't. Have to go out every day for a whole summer collecting cans and bottles to have much of anything at all. Okay, so we just learned a little bit more about Marty's plan. We had the problem. That's Shiloh, right? Shiloh's being beat up by Judd Travers and Marty wants to help him. That's our problem. And then the solution that Marty's come up with, he's going to try to buy him. And now we know how Marty plans to do that, or how he might be able to do that, is if he collects bottles and cans. It sounds like that might be a tough thing to do. It's a lot of bottles and cans. A month, maybe, I tell him. I'll ask along my mail route, but don't know any folks with money to spare. Which is what I thought. After Dad's gone off, Becky gets up before Ma, and I fix her a bowl of Cheerios. Put her sneakers on so she won't stub her toes, and brush the snarls from her hair. Oh, that's nice. So it seems kind of like after Dad leaves, Marty helps take care of Becky, who's his sister, right? That's kind of a nice thing about Marty. Okay. Read once in a book about how some kids earned money babysitting. Boy, if I ever got paid even a nickel for every time I've taken care of Becky, Dara Lynn, too, I'd have a lot of dollars. I'd have a whole bunch of jobs that other kids, other places get paid to do. But it wouldn't ever occur to me to ask for pay. If I asked Dad, he'd say, "You live in this house, boy." And when I'd say, "Yes," he'd say, "Then do your share like the rest of us." So it sounds like Marty has a lot of chores he's got to help taking care of his sisters, but he doesn't make any money from that. Which is why I never asked. He doesn't even ask for money for that stuff. "More Cheerios," says Becky, and all the while I'm making her breakfast, I'm thinking the best route to take to find aluminum cans. By the time Dara Lynn gets up, wearing one of Dad's old t-shirts from her nightgown, I figured how I could double my can count. But when Ma gets up a few minutes later, she takes one look at me and guesses what I'm thinking. Classic Ma, right? "You got that dog on your mind," she says, lifting the big iron skillet to the stove top and laying some bacon in it. "Think it don't cost nothing," I tell her. She just gives me a little smile, then sets about making my bacon crisp, the way I like it. And we don't say any more about Judd's dog. Must walk 5 miles that morning, and all I find is 7 cans and one bottle. Oh, so he found 7 cans and one bottle from walking around all morning. I guess he's not going to make money very fast collecting for recycling. When Dad comes home about 4, he hasn't found anybody looking for help either. But he says, "The Sears Fall catalog coming this afternoon, Marty. You got nothing better to do tomorrow? You could ride my route with me, help me deliver them." I say yes to that. No, I won't get nothing more out of it than a soft drink at the gas station, but I like going around in the Jeep, riding over back roads like Rip and Tuck and Cowhouse Road Run with Dad. Can take a bag with me just in case. Pick up any bottles or cans I happen to see. That night, Dad and I sit out on the porch. Ma's in the swing behind us, shelling lima beans for the next day, and Becky and Dara Lynn's in the grass, catching lightning bugs and putting them in a jar. Dad laughs at the way Becky squeals when she gets a bug in her hand. But seeing those bugs in a jar reminds me of Shiloh, all chained up at Judd's, a prisoner as sure as those bugs. He can't think about anything but this dog, huh? Truth is, about everything reminds me of Shiloh. You once get a dog to look at you the way Shiloh looked at me, you don't forget it. "Got 17," Dara Lynn shouts. "Aren't they pretty, Ma?" "Almost could turn off the electricity and let 'em light up the kitchen," Ma says. "You gonna let 'em go?" I ask. Dara Lynn shrugs. Wait, Marty wants him to let go the lightning bugs go? The little bugs they just caught? That's interesting. "They'll die if you keep 'em in a jar," I tell her. Becky, she comes over and crawls onto my lap. "We'll let 'em go, Marty," she says, and kisses me on the neck. A butterfly kiss, she calls it. Bats her eyelashes against my skin. Feels like a moth's wings. She laughs and I laugh. You guys know what that is? A butterfly kiss? It's when you like rub your eyelashes on somebody, I guess. That's what his sister just did. It sounds like they're pretty close, Marty and his sisters. I mean, he helps take care of them, and they like each other. Then, far off, I hear a dog. Leastwise, I think it's a dog. Could be a fox cub, but I think Shiloh. "You hear that?" I asked Dad. Just a hound complaining," is all he says. Next morning, Dad gives me a nudge when he comes through to the kitchen, and I'm up like a shot. We ride to Sisterville, and I haul all those catalogs out to the Jeep while Dad cases mail. Most everybody gets a catalog, of course, but anybody who places an order with Sears during the year gets one, so there's a lot to load up. So right now, what they're talking about, the Sears catalog, basically that's like Amazon before the internet. If you wanted to buy stuff, you couldn't just click on your computer. You had to read a magazine. So these catalogs are just big magazines full of stuff you can buy, and you can buy like anything. You buy like furniture or like games, you could buy books, you could buy all sorts of stuff from a Sears catalog. So people will get really excited when they get them. Let's see. By 9:15, we're on the route. I'm right here. Dad pulls the Jeep up close to the mailboxes, and I stuff the mail in. Turn up the little red flag on the side, if there is one. Some folks even wait down at the box, and then you feel real bad if you don't have anything for them. Dad knows everybody's name, and he always takes time to say a little something. Morning, Bill, he says to an old man whose face lights up like Christmas when we stop. How's the wife doing? About the same, the man says. Well, this catalog's sure going to cheer her up. And he sets off for his house, mail tucked under his arm. People even leave something in their boxes once in a while for Dad. Mr. Ellison always leaves a little loaf of banana bread or a cinnamon roll, and Dad saves it to eat it with his lunch. After we finish Sisterville, we do the friendly route. But as the Jeep gets up near Shiloh, my heart starts to pound. I'm thinking of closing my eyes tight in case the dog's around. If I see his eyes looking at me, I'll just drive me crazy. I can hear dogs barking when we're a half mile off from Judd Travers' trailer. Dogs can pick up the sound of a Jeep that quick. Oh, so now Marty and his dad are driving in this Jeep, right? And Marty's helping his dad deliver mail. Not for money, just because he likes hanging out with his dad. And now he hears dogs because they're getting close to Judd's house. So let's see what happens. I get Judd's mail ready for him. He hasn't got my catalog coming. But he's got 2 other magazines that'll probably warm his heart. Guns and Ammo and Shooting Times. Why don't he take a magazine about dogs, I'm thinking. Teach him how to be kind. So he's going to read, this guy Judd, who reads these magazines called Guns and Ammo and Shooting Times. So that's the kind of dude he is. All the dogs are chained when we get to his place. So none of them are waiting for us at the box. But Judd is. He's got a big old sickle. Is cutting weeds along his side of the road. A sickle's like, the Grim Reaper's got that like stick with the knife on it. It's actually a tool for cutting grass. If you don't have like a lawnmower, people back then would use like a sickle for actually cutting their lawn. Morning, Dad says as the Jeep pulls up. Judd straightens his back. His shirt's all soaked with sweat, and he wears this brown handkerchief tied around his forehead to keep the sweat from running in his eyes. How you doing, Ray? He says. Comes over to the Jeep with his hand out. I give him his mail, and he even stinks like sweat. I know everybody sweats, and everybody's sweat stinks, but seems to me Judd's sweat stinks worse than anyone's. Mean sweat. He's got mean sweat. How come you aren't at work? Dad asks. You think this ain't work? Judd answers, then laughs. Got me a week of vacation coming, so I take a day now and then. This Friday, I'm going hunting again. Take the dogs up on the ridge and see if I can get me some rabbit. Possum, maybe. Haven't had me a possum dinner for some time. So this dude loves hunting. Dogs okay? Dad asks. And I know he's asking for me. He's a nice dad. Lean and mean, says Judd. Keep 'em half starved, they'll hunt better. That's not very nice. He keeps his dogs half starved. Starved is like, basically, they're like, you can see their ribs. They don't have enough food. Gotta keep them healthy, though. Or you won't have them long, Dad says. I know he's saying that for me, too. Lose one, I'll buy another, Judd tells him. I can't help myself. I lean out the window where I can see his face real good. Big, round eyes. Whiskers on his cheeks and chin where he hasn't shaved his face for 5 days. Tight little eyes looking down on me beneath his bushy eyebrows. That dog that followed me home the other day, I say, he okay? He's learning, Judd says. Didn't give him an ounce of supper that night. Just put him where he could watch the others eat. Teach him not to wander off. Got him back in the shed right now. My stomach hurts for Shiloh. That dog, I say again. What's his name? Judd just laughs. Ha! His teeth dark where the tobacco juice oozes through. Hasn't got a name. Never name any of my dogs. Dogs 1, 2, 3, and 4 is all. When I want 'em, I whistle. When I don't, I give 'em a kick. Get, scram, out, and damn it. That's my dog's names. And he laughs. Ha ha ha! Making the fat on his belly shake. I'm so mad. I can't see. I know I should shut my mouth, but it goes on talking. His name's Shiloh, I say. Judd looks down at me and spits sideways. Studies me a good long time, then shrugs as the Jeep moves forward again and on along the river. Whoa, this dude Judd, he's the worst! So he kicks his dogs, we know that. He didn't feed Shiloh the night that Shiloh got lost because he was trying to punish him or something. He says he keeps them all half starved, which is like, that's dog abuse. That's messed up. So this dude, Judd, is horrible. And we just learned a little bit else about something about Marty, too, because Marty didn't just like sit there and just listen to Judd and just, mind his own business. Look what he says right here. He says, I know I should shut my mouth, but it goes on talking. His name's Shiloh, I say. Marty he kind of stands up for himself. He stands up for Shiloh too. He's like, you can't just kick a dog and, not give him a name. And so he actually tells Judd what to call his own dog, which is pretty bold, pretty brave. I think that's a brave thing to do. So the last question 3, I want you guys to take. All right, what's something we learned about Marty from chapter 3? You can talk about maybe him and his family. We learned a little bit about him and his sisters and him and his dad. Or you could also tell me maybe something about his personality. Like maybe he's brave because he tells Judd to name the dog Shiloh, even though it's not his dog. I'll let you guys decide. But for question 3, write one thing that you learned about Marty from this chapter.